Good Sunday morning, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to the Southern Oregon Weather Weekend Update. As usual, we'll start by looking at our current conditions, and then we'll talk about our next storm system. We're expecting some showers to move in tomorrow and linger through the middle of the week. So we'll talk about what kind of rain and snow amounts we can expect for that system, and then we'll discuss what our weather will be like heading into April. So first, the KMAX radar on top of Mount Ashland shows a few clouds lingering over the Southern Oregon Cascades and Siskiyous, down into the Marble Mountains and the Mount Shasta area. There were some pretty large cumulus clouds over the mountains yesterday afternoon. It looked like there was some virga, precipitation falling but evaporating before it hit the ground. But this afternoon, not expecting quite as much in the way of virga or shower activity. Mainly just some puffy white clouds over the mountains. I'd like to show you the conditions that we've seen for March as a whole. This is the departure from normal for surface air temperature. So blue colors indicate cooler than normal temperatures, and warmer colors indicate warmer than average temperatures. And you can see generally the west coast has been colder than normal. March has been pretty lionish. Most of that air has been locked up over British Columbia, but we've seen our fair share of cooler conditions as well. By contrast, the rest of the country has been quite warm, so for snow lovers in Southern Oregon, we have been rather lucky. And part of the reason for these cool conditions over the west has been because of our 500 millibar pattern. Remember, blue colors indicate troughing, storminess, generally cooler and wetter weather, whereas orange and yellow colors indicate ridging, warmer and drier weather. There's been a ridge in the Gulf of Alaska, a ridge over the southeast U.S., and that's allowed troughing to develop over the west coast. However, even though it's been cooler than normal, and we've seen this trough sit kind of near the southwest, it's been relatively dry. This is soil moisture. Blue colors indicate drier than normal conditions, and orange colors indicate wetter than normal conditions. Obviously, the moisture here is a result of that subtropical jet cutting underneath. But because we've seen this split flow pattern where we have the polar jet moving into Canada farther north and the subtropical jet cutting into Southern California and the Four Corners area farther south, we've kind of been stuck in the middle, and we haven't really seen a lot of rain, even as things have turned cooler and more stormy in March. So, can we expect that to change? Well, here's our next weather maker moving in from the northwest. This is going to be very similar to the system that moved through a couple days ago. Showers are going to start late Monday. Looks like maybe late afternoon, but definitely by the evening we should be seeing some shower activity. And just like the last system, it's going to be pretty hit and miss. Where these heavier bands of precipitation set up, those areas are going to see more rain and snow, but other areas might be pretty dry, maybe just a trace of snow or a few sprinkles of rain. So these showers are going to linger through the middle of the week, and because of that, some of these models are showing pretty healthy snowfall amounts. But keep in mind, the snow is expected to fall over the course of a couple days, on Monday night, then into Tuesday, then into Wednesday. This map is actually for total snowfall according to the GFS, the American model, by 10 a.m. on Thursday. And some of these light green colors are over a foot of snow. The generally light blue, dark blue colors are just a couple inches, and then the purples here on the scale are 6 to 10 inches. But again, this will depend heavily on where those shower cells set up. It'll be very hit and miss. Here's the WRF model. As we've discussed before, this model does tend to overdo things. However, it's showing a pretty similar scenario to the GFS. Heaviest snow over the Central Oregon Cascades with over a foot expected there, according to this model, and then lighter amounts for the Southern Oregon Cascades and the Siskiyous. So I wouldn't be surprised if we end up with maybe 3 or 4 inches of total snowfall over the Siskiyous and maybe around 6 inches, possibly some higher amounts near Crater Lake, up to 8 to 10 inches, if everything pans out, if those heavier showers do set up in the right areas. So that's what we can expect for our weekend system. Moving forward, though, it looks like we'll begin to dry out a little bit. It looks like cooler and wetter weather could linger a little bit through the end of this week in the wake of our departing system. But then it looks like we could start to see some drier and warmer conditions moving in, with the storm track brushing us as it moves farther to the north and west. So here's the Madden-Julian oscillation according to the European model. Right now we're in phase 2. It's going to move into phases 3 and then just barely into phase 4 and then go into the null phase. So phase 3 is a pretty wet phase for us, and that corresponds well with the system that we're going to see, and maybe another system toward the end of this next week, Saturday into next Sunday. But then look at phase 4. It's pretty dry, especially for southwest Oregon and California. And there's good agreement from the models that this is going to happen. So this is a loop of the GEFS ensemble starting in the wake of our departing system here on Thursday. And then notice by the middle of next week, so 10 days out, notice how these orange colors start to creep into Oregon and Northern California. And we see these blue colors initially start down here and then shift farther north over Alaska. So we might see a week of cooler and wetter than normal conditions this week, but then gradually drying out and warming up for a few days heading into next week. And that's also supported by the teleconnection forecasts. We've talked about the PNA when it's strongly negative. That indicates storminess over Oregon in general. That's what we're going to see this week. But then look, it's rising and not going positive, but it's certainly a lot less negative than it has been. And meanwhile, if we look at the EPO, we see that is trending positive as well. And that positive EPO favors these blue colors, this trough over Alaska with warmer and drier conditions to the south. So that's what the teleconnections are showing. That's what the models are showing as well. So there's good agreement that this could happen, that we could see a warmer and drier start to April after this week of cooler and wetter weather to end March. However, by the end of the first week of April, some models like the GEFS Ensemble start to shift this trough farther south again, and it could start to impact our area again later into April. And remember, those analogs that we looked at, those years in the past that are similar in terms of their teleconnections and the 500 millibar pattern to this year, those similar years are showing a pretty cool and wet April. So we'll have to see how that pans out. But for now, to recap, I'd expect our rain and snow showers to arrive late Monday, continue through Tuesday, possibly into Wednesday. Once again, we could see some lower snow levels with this system, just like we saw last time around, but that high sun angle and those warm soil temperatures from the sunny days we've enjoyed should really limit low elevation snow below 2,500 or 3,000 feet. National Weather Service is calling for snow levels to drop maybe as low as 1,500 feet, 2,000 feet, but again, by that time, much of the shower activity should have ended, and then also the warm road temperatures and soil temperatures should keep that snow from really sticking at the lower elevations. Looks like our cooler weather and showers linger maybe through the end of the week, maybe another weekend system for next Saturday and Sunday, but then those warmer MJO phases, those drier MJO phases, and the rising PNA suggest that we could see a drier and warmer start to April. Our analogs are still favoring a return to cooler and wetter conditions later in April, but it looks like we'll see some spring for the first few days of April at least. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Don't forget to set your notifications so you don't miss that midweek update in a few days. And please leave a like if you enjoyed the forecast, share this video with your friends, and consider subscribing to the channel.